No, they don't. How does one watch the anime and think, yeah, they have a toxic relationship? What? For those that don't know what a toxic friendship is, it's a relationship that consistently harms your emotional or psychological health. And here are some of the signs in toxic relationships: disrespect for boundaries, constant negativity, constant criticism, lack of support, lack of empathy, manipulative behaviors. There are more, but these are the ones I want to focus on for this video, as I go over some moments between Gon and Killua and disprove this take. But first we had to look at Gon and Killua separately, as something a lot of people I seen do is they apply normal conventions to them both, when that shouldn't be the case at all. Killua is from a family of assassins, who was raised a certain way, thus warping his sense of morality and views of relationships. And then there's Gon, who didn't grow up without his parents, but he did have Mito, who taught Gon a lot, like how to understand others. And you can make the argument that Gon is a very kind-hearted person because of Mito raising him, but there is something that makes Gon different, that also warped his sense of morality and view of relationships, and that's because of Jing. Jing plays a huge part into Gon's character and who he is. Gon became enamored with who Jing is because of how everyone talks about him, making Jing his role model, and the way Jing lives his life is one Gon looks up to and wishes to live like. Jing abandoning his son to be a hunter, Gon finds it amazing. Jing giving him life or death tests, cool. There's clearly an effect Jing abandoning his son did to Gon, which is why one has to take into account both Gon and Killua's upbringings when looking at their relationship, as their perspectives on morality, friendships were vastly misconstrued. And also a reminder, Gon and Killua are 12 years old. They are literally kids, which is important as well. They are both growing, learning, and recognizing their mistakes as they grow up. So with that out of the way, let's start with how Gon and Killua met in the Hunter exam, which is this very grueling experience, and for everyone else, it truly was a grueling experience. But for Gon and Killua, it was more of a field trip, hanging out, watching as people fell and die. And the more they hanged out, the more they learned of the other. Killua learning of Gon's motivation, Gon learning of Killua's upbringing, and this is a very key moment many overlook. Many look at this scene of Gon finding out Killua is from a family of assassins and showing no reaction as something being wrong with Gon, but it's the opposite. It's showing how understanding and kind Gon is as a character. Gon has hanged out with Killua for a while at this point in the story and already considers him a friend, so him being part of this family of assassins is irrelevant to Gon. He already knows who Killua is, and his family doesn't factor into how he views Killua. Killua, who hates being part of that family, that wishes to control how he lives his life, wishing to separate himself from them, which is why he ran away in the first place. And here comes Gon, who separates Killua from his family. Killua being an assassin, he doesn't care. Others, upon hearing the name Zoldyck family, shudder. They be scared. But Gon, he doesn't react, as Killua is Killua, not an assassin, which is why there wasn't a reaction of Gon being scared or shocked upon learning this. Again, I don't understand how many view Gon and Killua's relationship as toxic, as this is one of many instances where they both show understanding and care for the other. Which brings us to the next scene, Illumi mentally abusing Killua by making him believe he's not worthy of having friends. Now this is the toxic relationship, and guess what? Upon learning this, Gon confronts Illumi and tells Illumi to apologize to Killua and how he's gonna get him out of that house if it turns out Killua is being forced to kill. Those two scenes I went over already crossed out 4 signs of a toxic relationship, by the way. Lack of empathy, lack of support, constant negativity, and constant criticism. Now there's more moments like this of Gon being an amazing friend throughout the Hunter exam arc, and even the next mini arc that wishes the best for Killua, as shown in the Zoldyck family arc, where Gon goes to Killua's house, now fighting his way through everyone, but instead through dialogue, telling everyone he just wants to see his friend, not fight. As for Killua, during these 2 arcs, the Hunter exam and the Zoldyck family arc, Killua was more of a little cocky ass. He was a bastard. Now I love that aspect of Killua. He still has some of those qualities in the future arcs as well. But the Hunter exam, it was the peak. We have Killua looking down on Gon, clearly bragging how he can do stuff Gon can't. Even got mad when Gon performed better, not taking into consideration Gon's feelings when he wanted all of them to pass the test. Multiple moments of him telling Gon to leave them behind. Even one point where it seemed he was willing to kill the rest to make sure him and Gon passed the test. You can say say, Killua viewed Gon as a toy of sorts, where he just brought him along for the ride. Like I said in the beginning, taking Killua's upbringing into account, it makes sense why he did these things. Not knowing what friendships are like, he took it upon himself to do whatever to keep Gon around and try to befriend him. But without realizing it, him and Gon were already friends. His understanding of relationships grew so much, where with the first arc, he tried to drag Gon along, not caring about what he wanted. But in the Heaven's Arena arc, it's literally an arc centered around Killua's growth of understanding, because Killua finally understands and guides Gon in a direction he actually wants to go by taking his feelings into account, unlike the Hunter exam arc, where he constantly tells Gon stuff that Gon doesn't agree with, where it goes against his wishes. In the Heaven's Arena arc, they are now walking side by side. Gon and Killua bring out the best out of each other and make sure the other doesn't cross a line, and that continues after the Heaven's Arena arc, where it's showed in full display, and that being when Gon returns to Well Island with Killua, and they have a conversation where Killua actually opens up to Gon, telling him he's jealous of him because he has nothing he wants to do with his life, and Gon being understanding and supportive by telling him he really loves Killua and that they should travel around the world and he will eventually find something he wants to do with his life. So during the meantime, they should have fun exploring the world together as they look for Jing. I love them both so much, and it continues further down the arc where we see how both help the other, Killua keeping Gon in check to keep him safe, making him realize his priorities. And then there's Gon telling Killua he shouldn't talk so lightly about throwing his life away. And in the ending of the York New arc, both Gon and Killua choose the path that doesn't involve making their friend kill someone, as they are his friends. And then the constant support in the Greed Island arc, where Killua helps Gon feel better by saying stuff he needs to hear, and then Gon voicing his feelings of love for Killua. Now I want to bring up some moments where people criticize their relationship, and these are the moments people point out to make their argument about how they have a toxic relationship. The dodgeball moment with Killua hurting his hand being one of them. I find this strange. Some people actually saw this as Gon taking advantage of Killua, when there's multiple factors to consider. The first being, when Gon did his first Jajanken in the dodgeball game, he didn't know that would hurt Killua. It was after he did his Jajanken when he realized Killua was hurt, and the reason he continued to do it again was not because he just didn't care, but rather because Killua was on board and wanted to continue, which is why Gon continued, as we see in this panel. Now there is some criticism to be found there. Sure, there could have been a different approach where we could have saw Gon ask Killua directly if he wants to continue, but like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there are many factors in play when looking at moments like this. First being Killua's perspective. Many people leave out Killua's perspective out and make Killua into this helpless friend who has no choice but to continue because Killua loves Gon a lot. But in reality, there have been many moments in the story where Killua lays down rules and tells Gon he won't do things his way, as shown in the York New arc where they follow the troop. Killua sets down some rules. Then later as well, they only move if Kurapika helps. Again, Killua has been shown to not just blindly do everything Gon wants his way. Gon and Killua share a bond where they both strongly know what the other is like and what they are willing to do for each other, and they do this without communication at times because that's how strong their bond is. Killua is on board and feels the same way most of the times. If it was the other way around, Gon would do the same and hold the ball, and Killua will also hit the ball. Now maybe their approach will be different and Killua will ask Gon if he's good to go again. Like I said, there is some criticism to be found, but even then I don't see it as a big issue because you have to take into account both sides. Gon is 12 years old. Killua is as well, but with the way they both were raised is so vastly different. Gon sees things as it is. He doesn't look too deeply into something. At the end of the day, there was no ill intent, nor was this a constant thing that happened, or Gon taking advantage of Killua, which brings us to the arc that everyone constantly uses to paint Gon as this monster, showing how toxic this friendship is, which I find ironic, as this arc is where we fully see the effect Gon has had on Killua in a positive way. As for the first time, Killua is out here making friends with Hikaru, with Palm, etc., doing stuff he never would have done in previous arcs, out here saving lives because he wants to and not just because Gon wanted to. This is the effect Gon has had on Killua. Some look at the palace invasion and see when Gon was being a bad friend and spin it to their narrative that Gon has always been a bad friend, but fail to look at the full picture. Togashi is a good writer and wrote Gon with flaws like a real human being. Gon was going through some stuff, which is a factor in why he treated Killua awful. It's not a representation of how Gon truly is. Togashi clearly portrays this as Gon's worst moment. Even Gon himself, without anyone telling him, said he needs to apologize to Killua, how he said mean things to him. Gon realizes what he did on his own and wants to apologize. This is a big deal. If it was Killua who made Gon apologize like Killua wanted, and Gon not realizing why he needs to apologize, then yes, that would make Gon a bad friend, but that didn't happen. Gon wanted to apologize because he knows he did something wrong, and it's not a forced apology. I always found it odd that people think because of what happened during the palace invasion caused a strain in Gon and Killua's relationship, which is why they split up and had an awkward goodbye. But I never got that impression at all. I have seen many blogs of people translating some of the Japanese translations, showing the nuance and how Killua has mentioned before how he never thanks his friends, yet he thanked Gon here. I understand why people look at their goodbye more deeply. Sure, Hunter x Hunter has a lot more than meets the eye. I respect it. But to me, this is reaching very deep into something that's not meant to be looked at deeply. One thing Togashi has always been very open about is Gon and Killua's friendship, where we literally see it out in the open. The good and the bad. The good we see throughout the entire story. Them playing, them helping each other out, keeping the other in check, becoming better people. And the bad is the Chimera Ant arc, where we see for the first time a strain in the relationship. Just because Killua thanked Gon when Killua has mentioned he never thanks his friends is very weird to me. Killua is an evolving character. He's not a static character where he will keep his mindset the same at all times. He thanked Gon because he wanted Gon to know how he's really grateful to him. Because of Gon, Killua finally found a purpose in his life to protect and be with his sister. Hell, I say this shows Killua's development. In the Greed Island arc, Killua thanked Gon inside his head, and here we see his growth where he can finally speak out his feelings. Then there's people saying how their goodbye felt awkward. Of course it felt awkward. They've been together all this time and they now know they had to go their separate ways. Gon and Killua even acknowledge how it's gonna be more painful to say goodbye if they keep hanging out. I genuinely don't understand how many think there's a strain in the relationship. When you look at the scene of Killua teasing Gon, making him sad, Killua and Gon saying they will text each other, both of them saying if they are in trouble, let the other know and they will be there to help no matter what. This is best friend behavior. I don't see how anyone can see their relationship as toxic when throughout the entire story we see how much they both be smiling, having fun, playing and becoming better people. And I can't wait for the day where Gon and Killua reunite in the story.